The notification came at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was lying in bed scrolling through my phone when I saw it. A new follower on my private Instagram account. The one where I posted photos of myself as Evelyn. The account my family didn't know about. The account my coworkers would never see. The account that was supposed to be completely separate from Carter Newman, the guy who worked in accounting at Henderson and Associates. The username made my stomach drop. At @MichaelHenderson_official. My boss. I sat up so fast my head spun. This had to be a mistake. A fake account. Someone with the same name. I clicked on the profile and there he was. Michael Henderson. 42 years old. CEO of the company where I had worked for 3 years. His bio. His photos. His verified blue checkmark. He had found me. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. I scrolled through my Evelyn account with new eyes. The photos I had posted over the past year. Me in dresses and makeup. Me with long hair and painted nails. Me smiling in ways Carter never smiled at work. Every caption talking about my journey. About discovering who I really was. About being a trans woman, even though I hadn't told anyone in my real life yet. And now my boss knew. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there staring at the ceiling, running through scenarios in my head. He would fire me. He would tell everyone at work. He would make my life hell. I had heard the way he talked sometimes. The jokes he made. The comments about people being too sensitive. He wasn't openly hateful, but he wasn't exactly progressive either. By the time my alarm went off at 7, I had already decided to quit. I would send an email. Say it was a family emergency. Disappear before he could humiliate me. But I needed the job. I had rent to pay. Student loans. My mom's medical bills that I helped with every month. I couldn't just quit. So I got dressed. I put on my gray suit and blue tie. I looked at myself in the mirror and felt like I was putting on a costume. Carter the accountant. Carter the quiet guy who never caused problems. Carter who didn't exist except as a shell I wore to survive. The office felt different that morning. Every person who looked at me felt like they knew. Every conversation that stopped when I walked past felt like it was about me. But no one said anything. Michael wasn't even in the office. His assistant said he was working from home. I barely made it through the day. I kept checking my phone expecting a message from HR. An email asking me to come in for a meeting. Something. But nothing came. The next day was the same. And the day after that. By Friday I started to think maybe he hadn't actually looked at my account. Maybe he had just followed me by accident and never scrolled through my posts. Maybe I was safe. Then I got the email. Carter, please come to my office at 4 p.m. My chest tightened. This was it. I spent the next 3 hours barely functioning. I made mistakes on a spreadsheet I had to redo twice. I spilled coffee on my desk. I couldn't breathe right. At 3:58 I stood outside his office door. My hand hovered over the handle. I thought about running. Just walking out of the building and never coming back. Instead I knocked. Come in, his voice said from inside. I opened the door. Michael was sitting behind his desk looking at his computer. He glanced up at me and gestured to the chair across from him. Close the door and sit down. I did. My heart was pounding so hard I thought he could probably hear it. He looked at me for a long moment. His face was unreadable. Then he turned his computer screen toward me. My Instagram account was open on his screen. A photo of me from 2 weeks ago. I was wearing a red dress and smiling at the camera. The caption read, "Finally feeling like myself." "Is this you?" he asked. My mouth went dry. I couldn't speak. I just nodded. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't think." I stopped. Started again. "I didn't know how you'd react." "You thought I'd fire you?" "Yes." He leaned back in his chair. "I'm not going to fire you, Carter. Or should I call you Evelyn?" "I don't know," I said quietly. "I haven't figured that out yet." He nodded slowly. Then he reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a photo. He handed it to me. It was old. Faded. A picture of two young people at what looked like a pride parade. They were holding hands and smiling. One of them was clearly Michael. Younger but unmistakable. The other person was beautiful. Feminine. Radiant. "That's my sister," Michael said. Her name was Sarah. She was trans. The word hit me like a punch. "She died 8 years ago," he continued. His voice was steady, but I could hear something underneath it. Something raw. She struggled for a long time. With acceptance. With finding people who understood. With finding a job where she could be herself. He paused. I wasn't there for her the way I should have been. I was young and stupid and scared of what people would think. By the time I figured out how to be a better brother, it was too late. I didn't know what to say. I sat there holding the photo and feeling like the ground had shifted beneath me. "I followed your account because I wanted to make sure you were okay," he said. "I saw you at the coffee shop last month. You were dressed differently. You looked happy. I didn't want to approach you because I didn't want to invade your privacy. But I wanted to know that you had support. That you weren't going through this alone like Sarah did." My eyes were burning. I blinked hard. "You don't have to hide here," Michael said. "Not anymore. If you want to transition at work, we'll make it happen. If you want to keep things separate, that's fine too. But I want you to know that you're safe. You're valued. And you don't have to pretend to be someone you're not just to keep a job." I couldn't hold it back anymore. I started crying. Not quiet tears, but full-body sobs that shook my shoulders. Michael handed me a box of tissues and waited patiently while I fell apart in his office. When I finally got control of myself, I looked at him. This man I had been terrified of for the past week. This man who I thought would destroy me. "Thank you," I said. "Don't thank me. Just be yourself. That's all Sarah ever wanted. That's all anyone should want." I left his office 20 minutes later feeling lighter than I had felt in years. The fear was still there. The uncertainty. But underneath it was something new. Something that felt like hope. I went home that night and looked at myself in the mirror. Carter stared back at me. But for the first time I could see Evelyn underneath. I picked up my phone and opened a text to Michael. "I think I'd like to go by Evelyn at work. If that's still okay." His response came immediately. "More than okay. See you Monday, Evelyn." I smiled. A real smile. The kind that Carter never managed, but Evelyn had been practicing for months. Monday morning I wore a blouse under my blazer. Small steps. My nails were painted clear. Subtle. By my desk I had put a small nameplate that said Evelyn in neat letters next to Carter. Michael walked past at 9 and stopped. He looked at the nameplate. Then at me. "Nice to officially meet you, Evelyn," he said. "Nice to meet you too," I said. He smiled and kept walking. I sat down at my desk and opened my computer, and for the first time in 3 years I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I know what you are. Everyone's going to know soon." My blood went cold. I looked up at Michael's office. The door was closed. I looked back at my phone. At the message that made my hands shake all over again. The fear came rushing back. Heavier than before. Because I realized something in that moment. Some battles you win. Some doors open. But there's always another door. Another battle. Another person who wants to close you back into the box you fought so hard to escape. I stared at the message. Then I deleted it. I took a breath. And I got back to work. Because that's what survival looks like. One breath. One moment. One small act of defiance at a time. Even when you're terrified. If you enjoyed this story, you can find more like it in my Femboy and Cross-Dressing Stories bundle. 5 complete stories available now on Amazon for just $4.99. Until next time, keep exploring, feeling, and becoming who you are.